Hello friends and potential friends. Well, it's another nice day out here in the garden. And I'm just looking around, seeing all the things that have gone to seed. Mustard's going crazy. And I think you can see how crazy it's getting. I mean, I'm 6'4", and this stuff's towering over top of me. It's also full of honeybees, various other pollinators. I've got broccoli over there going to seed, radishes, cilantro, of course, little bit of everything. And that's kind of what I'm looking to talk about today, is seeds. So let me switch over to the other camera and we'll get into it. Well, you may recall my saga of the Praxxus Cherry, and I am happy to report that I am getting well on my way to satisfying my need for seed. These ones out on the front porch are starting to ripen, and I've also collected some from another spot that I'll show you in a moment. Some of these are pretty tiny. And there's one down on the ground down there. That one's not quite ripe yet. It looks like that's all of them that are ripe out here, though there still are plenty of green ones. Now, when I'm collecting these seeds, I try to make sure that they get completely ripe on the vine before I pick them, because I want the seeds to be as mature as possible when I take them out and save them. Those are coming along nicely. Well, you saw the tower out on my front porch. When I'm saving seeds, another thing I want to do is make sure I don't get any cross-pollination. So those tomatoes out on the front porch are the only tomatoes anywhere around there. But just to be doubly sure, I also kept some Praxxus Cherry tomatoes here in the lab. And I've already picked all the ripe ones recently. But as you can see, there are still plenty of green ones coming along in here as well. And I happen to know that these are the only tomatoes that are available in here to produce pollination. I don't have any pollinators except me. I come in and play bumblebee whenever I see new flowers. That way I make sure they breed true. So try to keep them as clean as possible. If I save seeds out of the tomatoes I've got out in the main yard, there's no telling what I might get out of them. I've got Homesteads, Everglades, Floridads, and Romas growing out there right now, and they're all real close together. So I go to extra lengths to make sure I don't get any cross-pollination when I'm planning on saving for seed. With the recent release of genetically modified tomato seeds to the general public, I've become a little bit concerned, and it seems just that much more important that we start saving our own seeds. Now, it could be that those GMO tomatoes will be totally benign, but we don't know that. Nobody knows that, actually. I mean, who's to say that what's going to happen with those plants in future generations? They could be totally safe, or they could turn into some kind of a Frankenplant, take over our gardens and drive out the rest of our tomatoes. We just don't know. The one thing I've learned over the years is when man starts trying to play God, doesn't always end well. And I personally don't plan on taking a chance. I won't be growing any of those GMO tomatoes. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that they don't somehow get into my garden. One way I'm going to try to avoid that is by saving my own seeds. As you can see, saving tomato seeds is easy. You just slice the tomatoes open, squeeze the seeds out into some kind of a container, add a little bit of water to them, and put them off to the side for a week or two to ferment. And then after they've fermented for a little while, you take that container and pour it into a strainer. Run some water through it while you try to get rid of any remaining goo. And then just plop them out onto a paper plate and let them dry for a week or so. And you got good seeds. Now these ones right here are homestead tomatoes that I grew this year. And there's a possibility they may have crossed with some of my Everglades seeds, or my Everglades tomatoes, because they're planted right next to each other. But I know that going into it, so I'll be keeping an eye out for any kind of crosses like that. Meanwhile, I'm well on my way to refilling my stock of Praxxus Cherry tomato seeds. And the best thing about these ones is the tomatoes are so small, they're really not good for much of anything else, so I get to eat them. And they are oh so good. So if you're not doing it already, start saving seeds. There's a lot of people out there that'll help you save pretty much any type of seed that you want to grow. Meanwhile, I'll see you next time.